Yo, it's your boy Nasty Time back with another tier. I said I'd be kicking off these tiers today. We're starting with a wide receiver tier here. This wide receiver tier is actually pretty interesting. I was like sifting through all the wide receiver tiers, and a lot of them, the setups are funky. But this one actually has all the rookies. So when I get to a rookie, I'm going to put, just like the other one, to the degree I think they could possibly play, like their actual potential. And that's where I'm going to slot them. Some of these guys, I'm struggling to figure out who the hell they are, so it might take me a second. I'm normally pretty good with the prospects, but there's a lot of wide receiver prospects in the late rounds. Not really sure who they are by face. I think this first one's Jameson Williams. So I think Jameson Williams is pretty talented, but I think at the end of the day, in terms of, this is his second year. He's not a rookie. I think he popped a little bit last year, showing some of the plays he can make downfield. I think right now, at best, he's going to be a C tier wide receiver until I see a full season, but he's definitely an explosive playmaker down the field, guy that can stretch the field out, and that's what they brought him in to add a little speed to that Lions offense. I think this is Elijah Moore. I would say Elijah Moore right now is like a high C tier wide receiver. He showed at times he could be, possibly a wide receiver too. He's more of a gadget guy. He can't get downfield, but he's more of a put the ball in his hands, let him make plays on dudes, screens, stuff like that, short routage. But I do like Elijah Moore. There's Elijah Moore. There's rumors they were going to trade him and things of that nature, but I don't think so. I think he complements Garrett Wilson a lot. So Elijah Moore, C tier. I think this is Alan Lazard. Is that Alan Lazard? Never seen Alan Lazard's face. I think that's Alan Lazard. C tier. Alan Lazard could get downfield, 50-50 jump ball stuff, but he's not that talented of a wide receiver. He's just, a guy that fits into a rotation to complement players. I know Rodgers likes him and shit, but Rodgers, if you look at the way those teams have been constructed, Rodgers has always had like his elite guy, and then guys that can complement that elite guy and do a lot of different things. And I think that's what he is. He's a complementary player. A lot of dudes like Christian Watson. I know he exploded last year for a handful of touchdowns, but right now, Christian Watson's definitely a C wide receiver. He shows potential and upside with his ability to get down the field, and he's an okay route runner. He's definitely shown at times that he blows plays, like not knowing what the fucking play is, which is just, unacceptable. I can't tell who this guy is. Is that Donovan's People Jones? We're going to pretend this is Donovan People Jones. Can't tell who that is. If that is Donovan People Jones, C tier wide receiver. A lot of people love him as a future like upside guy for the Browns. People think it's gonna be his breakout year, but he's kind of a meat and potatoes wide receiver. He's okay at everything, not really a mass or anything. Not that great of an athlete. He catches the ball pretty well, but he can do a little bit of everything. Who is this guy? I think it's a Michigan State jersey. Hold on one second. I don't know who this gentleman is. I might skip over this guy. I don't know who the heck he is. Oh, I think, okay, so it's Jaden Reed. I don't know much about Jaden Reed, and I don't know where the hell he got drafted. So if I don't know a guy, I'm just going to put him down in D because he's a prospect. This is Josh Downs. Josh Downs, another one of those guys who's a little bit of an undersized wide receiver. In college, he could do a little bit of everything. Not kind of like Donovan People Jones, not really that talented of a player in terms of the physicality. So for right now, prospect and project. He played for North Carolina. I would say D. This is the gentleman from the Steelers, and his name is blanking me. I think he played for Georgia. Oh, it's killing me, his name. Sorry about that. I'm having a fucking brain fart. George Pickens. George Pickens, I loved his game tape in college. He was actually injured a lot, but when you seen on tape, he had a lot of different things going for him. He could stretch the field, really good boundary receiver, actually underrated after the catch, can make dudes miss, big body, catches absolutely everything. So I think based off how he played last year, plus how I think he could play this year, like his ceiling, I'm going to give George Pickens a B. So Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk was good last year. They paid him a lot of money. On average, is not the highest. This is tough for me. I'm giving him a high B because you paid him a lot of money, and yeah, he had 1,100 yards last year and almost 10 touchdowns, but definitely not really, really high level. Right now, he's the number one for Jacksonville, but Jacksonville could find themselves a better player than him in free agency. So for Christian Kirk, he overplayed my expectations last year, but he's definitely like a high B. Right now, he's the highest out of the B tier wide receivers. Rashad Bateman. So Rashad Bateman's a dude that has a lot of talent. He can get down the field, really good at attacking the ball in the air. Problem is he's hurt all the time. And then you turn around and we're not in these facilities, so we don't really know. But like he's hurt all the time. And then he blames it on the trainers and all that happy stuff. He said, she said, but physical tools. He's really talented. Can catch the ball. I don't think he's the best athlete, but I think he fits Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson likes to throw the ball down the field, and he can get down the field and go after the ball and make some plays. Tough at the point of attack. I would say right now he has the potential to be a B-tier wide receiver, but he's got to go out there and stay healthy and show it. Hunter Renfrow, B-tier wide receiver. Hunter Renfrow, slot guy, actually faster and quicker than people can give him credit for. He's like a poor man's Wes Welker. He's actually a really effective and really productive player. He just doesn't have a lot of the upside that like an actual one wide receiver does. He's smaller, really can't go up and get the ball at the point of attack. Not really super dynamic after he gets the ball in his hands, but hey, he gets open, catches a fuck ton of balls. He'd be a great complementary piece for any high-powered passing attack. Marquise Godwin. So I do think Marquise Godwin gets a little bit overrated by people, but in terms of his actual talent, the only thing that's holding him back is he's injured all the time. So he's an A-tier wide receiver. He's actually a pretty good route runner, really good catcher of the ball. He's okay after the catch, but he's hurt a lot. So he's hurt a lot. We never get to see like his actual potential. I also think he's a side effect of having a guy who's better than him on the other side of the field in Mike Evans, who's a consistent 1,000-yard wide receiver since he's been in the league. So yeah, Godwin's pretty solid. I do not know who this young gentleman is. Who is this guy? I can't tell if that's a Cardinals jersey. Oh, I think that's the young dude from the Cardinals there who he's the tiny guy. He's like the 5'9" dude. I forget his name. But he's all right. Fucking C tier. CeeDee Lamb. So CeeDee Lamb, this is tough. So CeeDee Lamb is probably going to end up being the highest A tier guy. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver. Back end of the top 10. If you go look at his numbers, the Cowboy system, they like to spread the ball around, and the dude's still averaging, like, through 4 years, 1,100 yards per season. Last year he had almost 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns or whatever he had. He's actually really fucking talented. They don't ask him to get down the field a lot, but he's got legitimate, 4.4 speed, gets down the field, and in my opinion, he's one of the best wide receivers after the catch. A lot of dudes like to lie and say he drops ball all the time, but you can find any single stat measurable instead of just fucking making an opinion up in your head about how much he drops the ball. A drop is defined by you get your hands on the ball and it's not impeded by the defender and you fucking drop the ball. Not contested catches. A true contested catch is not a drop ball. Just because you think so-and-so would come down with the ball if a dude was draped all over him and impeding the ball doesn't mean that you can attribute a drop to a guy. Just because you think another dude's better going up and getting the ball. That's bullshit. It's flawed logic. Some of your favorite wide receivers drop the ball more than him. Can run every single route. very explosive, one of the best wide receivers after the catch, and he's only like 23, 24 years old. And he's just hitting the surface of what I think he could be if things go the right way for him. So right now, he's in top of the A pile. He's just got to go prove the next couple of years that he's S tier. Speaking of S tier, Justin Jefferson, arguably the best wide receiver in the league. He probably is the best. When he came out of college, I had him in my top 5 wide receiver rankings, ahead of a lot of guys people thought were better than him. But I ultimately thought he was going to be a really good slot and boundary guy. I didn't think he was that dynamic after the catch and stuff in college, and he's just turned out to be, in every way you could be a wide receiver, he's turned out to be absolutely fucking phenomenal. Can't wait to see what he gets paid. Just a beast. So I would say, so this is a tough one. Odell Beckham Jr., not the player probably that he was. I do think the Ravens can get a lot out of him. I would say in the best of his ability right now, if he played to the best that he could and he was fully healthy this year with the Ravens, he could probably be an A-tier guy. But even with the Rams, he had really good production in big games, but he didn't like get S and A-tier production throughout the season. I would say right now he's going to be the highest of the B tier, although he's immensely talented. He's one of the more talented wide receivers of this generation of current players. He's just had the drama and at times he's had injuries, but super talented. Interested to see what he could do. It's going to help Bateman a lot that he's on the team, stretch the field. I know who this guy is. Is this Isaiah Hodgins? Isaiah Hodgins, he actually played pretty well last year. I would say Isaiah Hodgins, C-tier wide receiver with upside. He's a guy that could, he could run routes, tall guy, can get out there, catch the ball, do a little bit. Not a world beater, but, hopefully with the Giants, I actually do like him, and I do like, Sterling Shepard and some of the guys they got with Darren Waller, but, these motherfuckers got to stay healthy. Is Isaiah Rodgers a guy that's going to elevate your team? No, probably not, but, these guys have got to stay healthy, too, so we'll see if he can, expand upon the solid season he had last year. Courtland Sutton. So Courtland Sutton's pretty good. He's going to go in B tier for me. He's a guy that is just plagued with injuries every single year, and I definitely think he's more of a possession guy with a little downfield stuff. He's mostly a possession wide receiver and likes to work the middle of the field and the boundaries. But, he's a big body, 6'3", 215. He can get down the field, go up and get the ball, and be very possessive with the ball down the field. He wins contested catches. Like Courtland Sutton a lot, but there are some deficiencies in his game. Not the cleanest route runner. Lacks legitimate blazing speed. Enough to get downfield and get in position to get up on guys. But Courtland Sutton, really good player. I think this is the kid from Nevada. I can't remember his name. Came out from Nevada. I liked his game tape in college. I'm trying to remember this dude's name. There's so many wide receivers here. When you've been hitting the head this as much as I have, you can't fucking remember all of them. Trying to remember this dude's name. It's not Reed. It's not Torrey. I think this is Romeo Doubs from Nevada. I think it's Romeo Doubs. Dobbs actually played really well last year. I could be wrong if this is Dobbs or not, but whatever, just bear with me. I think it's Romeo Doubs. I would say he's a C-tier wide receiver. Dobbs actually caught a decent amount of touchdowns last year and showed he could do a little bit of everything, get down the field, make contested plays, but he's more of a possession receiver guy. Solid, but now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, it's these three are just going to be fucking guys. They got no one to throw the ball to them. I think this is Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton. I would say Darius Slayton, if that is Darius Slayton, goes there. Darius Slayton, guy whose game is mostly oriented around getting down the field. Just needs to make sure he doesn't stay nicked up and stuff like that. I actually think Darius Slayton's solid. But most of his game is predicated on getting downfield, in an offense that's not good at getting downfield. The offensive line is not as good as it needs to be in terms of the pass pro. They play a lot of good pass rushers in their division. Darius Slayton's solid, but we've yet to see him have a real breakout year, go over 1,000 yards and get a bunch of touchdowns. But there's upside there. I think he's still in his mid-20s. He's not too old, so give Darius Slayton a solid C. Devontae Adams, well, there's nothing much to say. Arguably one of the best route runners in the league. Catches absolutely everything. Good after the catch. Can get down the field. Like, he's just one of the best wide receivers of all time. Rumor is he wants out of Oakland after he just got there. The rumor is he wants to go play with the Jets. Once you leave Aaron Rodgers and you play for like a fucking C tier, B tier quarterback, you fucking shit yourself, don't you? Is this Jahan? Oh no, I think this is Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, probably a higher end on the C. He's one of those guys that's more of like he can stretch the field. He's got long speed, but he's more of like a playmaker. He's not like the best route runner, doesn't have the best hands, but if you can get the ball in his hands, he can make a lot of plays after the catch. Pretty good complementary receiver. If you actually look at the Washington, if Sam Howell could come in and, play to even a C tier level, they got a bunch of weapons he can throw the football to. So, yeah, Curtis Samuel, C tier. I think this is Zay Flowers. I actually like Zay Flowers. I think he's pretty talented. Really, really good route runner and really good after the catch. A little bit undersized, so it's going to be interesting to see how well his elusiveness translates, because he's going to need it to translate, because he's literally like fucking 5'8", like 185 pounds. But he's got long speed, decent catcher of the football, so there's no little guy to add to that wide receiving core. I think he's going to complement Rashad Bateman and Odell really well. So I think it's a good little fit for them. So Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a B-tier wide receiver. Probably put Brandon Cooks like right here. So Brandon Cooks has consistently been 1,000 wide receivers whole entire year. And even last year, people forget he's not even 30 yet, which is insane. I'm pretty sure he came in the league at like 20 years old. But Brandon Cooks, consistent, downfield threat, decent runner after the catch, pretty good catcher of the football. So Brandon Cooks. B. Jamar Chase, I don't need to talk about much. He's an S-tier wide receiver. Actually can do absolutely everything. Contested catches, really fast, gets down the field, crisp route runner. And I actually think he's underrated in terms of his physicality with his run after the catch. I know he's 6 foot, 195 pounds, but I think a lot of dudes, when they talk about Jamar Chase, kind of think he is just a finesse player. But I think, teams try to play him like he's a punk bitch and shit, but he's really tough after the catch and can make plays. He's an S-tier wide receiver. I think this is Jacoby Myers. I mean, he had a good season last year, but, whatever. Jacoby Myers, stretch the field. Not really that good of a wide receiver. He's a C-tier guy. He's effective in that offense. Michael Pittman. So Michael Pittman, I want to say, was solid last year. But I think Michael Pittman's hit his ceiling as a wide receiver, and I don't think it's that high. I would say he's like back end of the wide receiver B tier. 6'4", 215 pounds. For his size, has decent speed getting down the field, but he's mostly a possession jump ball type guy, red zone guy. B tier guy. Tyler Lockett. So this one's tough. I would say right now, at this stage of Tyler Lockett's career, this is actually a tough one for me. Because in different ways, he's in the same park as his counterpart. I mean, last year he had 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns, and he's been consistently lately like a 1,000-yard guy. But I think there's definitely some limitations to his game. A little undersized, not the best at contested catches. Most of his work gets done either like dump offs or deep down the field. For me and Tyler Lockett, if you add his punt return and stuff capability, big play capability, I could see someone wanting to put him in the A tier, but I think he's high B tier. I think that he's a really, really number 2 team and a good number 2 wide receiver in a good passing offense, and he could be a number 1 wide receiver in an offense that's not as good at passing the football. Juju Smith-Schuster. B tier, Juju Smith-Schuster showing at times he can be really good. I want to say his first or second year in the league, he had 1,300 yards and like 9 touchdowns, caught 100 balls. And he has that ability in the right offense, but he's mostly a possession wide receiver, medium to intermediate, catching, not going to dazzle you with his speed, but he's got really good sure hands, really good boundary wide receiver. He's probably like right there, I would say. I think he signed with the Patriots for like 3 years. I think he fits perfectly with what they do because they're just going to be throwing. They're going to be dinking and dunking and running. Expect him to catch a lot of balls next year, but not anywhere up in this status. So B tier for sure. I think this is Jahan Dotson. So I think Jahan Dotson's a B grade wide receiver. I actually like him better than these guys. This guy who's undersized, but he can do a little bit of everything. He's actually not bad at contested catches too. He's shown it flashes of being tough and going up and getting the ball, but he's mostly get him in space, plays after the catch. He could win downfield with his speed, get him on crossing routes. He's more of he could do a lot of different things. Gadget player. I think Jahan Dotson actually might have a breakout season this next year across from Terry McLaurin. I think this is Michael Williams from the Chargers. In terms of effectiveness and production, you can make the argument he's an A-tier wide receiver, but I'm going to put him in the B-tier wide receiver. He's more red zone and jump ball dependent, and like he's got a big body. And when he gets to full acceleration, he can get down the field on guys, but he's not the greatest route runner, not really that great in the middle of the field, in my opinion, and not really good underneath. He reminds me of like Vincent Jackson, who Vincent Jackson was really, really good back in the day, but he reminds me of Vincent Jackson, just not as good as Vincent Jackson. So I know he got the deal over there with them, with the Chargers, but I got to see more out of him to put him up a tier. Addison, I think Addison's a C tier player. He's next year across from Justin Jefferson's gonna help him a lot. He's probably gonna be like right here. Addison's got really good speed down the field, a little bit undersized, but he catches everything and he's a pretty decent route runner. There's definitely limitations to his game, but I could see him being a 700 to 900 yard, handful of touchdown wide receiver next year across from Justin Jefferson. I think he complements him well because ideally, if he could be effective down the field, it opens up what you truly want to do with Justin Jefferson and work everything else and layer Justin Jefferson's route. So, yeah, I like Addison. Not the prospect I think that everyone thinks he is. Like people jizz their pants this year over Addison. I think at the best he's just going to be a number 2, a good number 2 in the league. So Tyreek Hill's elite. So I think everyone gets dazzled over Tyreek Hill's acceleration and speed, but he's actually a really good route runner. And I rarely ever see him drop the fucking football. And after the catch, he's just absolutely fantastic. And you can do a lot of different things with him. You can run him across the middle field. You can run him deep. You could fucking throw screens to him. If you wanted to, you can run him out of the backfield. Like, he's just a do-it-all player. And it's interesting that even though as he's getting closer to 30, he's still maintained the speed. He's an elite player. So Mike Thomas at one point was an A-tier, borderline S-tier guy, but with all of his injuries and the fact that he's slow as fuck right now, I think he'd still be productive. But right now, he's probably like a B-tier guy until I see otherwise. I got to see him come out and get a full season and stay healthy and see, like, now his skill set and the right offense makes it so he could be, a 70-plus catch guy, 75-plus catch guy again. But, never was that athletic in the first place. Not going to wow you down the field. Mike Thomas, definitely a shell of his former self. But, I could see a world this year where he still catches a lot of balls. I think this might be Tank Dell. Oh, no, that's Tank Dell. Who the fuck is this guy? I don't know him. He's going down here. Van Jefferson, C-tier quarterback, capable. Another guy that's kind of just like okay at a lot of different things. Not really a contested catch guy, but he's a pretty solid route runner. Good complementary piece to Cooper Kupp, but nothing really special. So DK Metcalf, this one's hard for a lot of people. DK Metcalf's numbers won't astound you if you're looking at his actual production. I want to say he's had a year or so where he's gone under 1,000 yards, like that 900-yard mark. He's not getting an insane amount of yards, But I definitely think that offense is not really designed right now for them to do so. But I do think he's a really high level player. There was concerns when he came out about how he ran what is it, the shuttle drills worse than Tom Brady and shit. But the team has definitely realized you're not going to run him on intricate routes. You're not going to run him on fucking stick routes, stem routes. You're not going to run him on these like intricate, like fucking sluggo routes and stuff like that. You're going to do, check and goes with him. You're going to run him across the middle field. You're going to run him down the field. Maybe if his footwork is better, he would actually be perfect for like the sideline comeback routes because he's so massive. But you can't argue with the speed, the measurables. He's not one of these dudes that drops the ball a lot. When he gets the ball in his hands, he gets ahead of steam. It's hard to bring down. And he's tough as nails. He's a gamer. I mean, he cares about the game. He cried like a little girl when he finally got drafted after like the other 4,000 wide receivers that went before him. So he obviously cares. That shit was funny. So for me, he's an A tier guy. And honestly, in the right offense, even though he doesn't produce as much as these two dudes have so far, I think he's better than him. I'd rather have DK Metcalf in my team than Godwin, and I would actually throw DK Metcalf the ball more than a lot of these other guys get thrown. So yeah, DK Metcalf A tier for me. Darnell Mooney. So Darnell Mooney has produced more than I think people thought he would. I think he's definitely a high tier guy, A guy, high B tier guy. Darnell Mooney, really fast, can stretch the field, really agile. He's got a little wiggle when you get the ball in his hands. Doesn't drop the ball a lot. But most of his game is predicated on, I think he is going to be the complementary piece this year. I think they spam the ball to him a lot because he's good and he was the guy. But I think now that DJ Moore is there, he's going to be the stretch the field complementary piece for DJ Moore. And in turn, I actually think he can get more production. DJ Moore can do a lot of different things besides just get down the field. And I think that it's really going to help them both. And I'm hoping him and DJ Moore and some of the pieces they picked up for Chicago could help Fields because I like Fields a lot. DJ Moore, really solid player. Chris Olave, based off what he did last year, what I think he'll do this year, given the good enough quarterback play with Derek Carr, I think he's a high B tier wide receiver. It's like he's right in this range. Olave can do absolutely everything. A little bit slighter frame. Not really guys going to shuck a lot of tackles and stuff, but really good route runner at all levels, can stretch the field, catches everything. Chris Olave, dynamic wide receiver. Good possibility he could be ranked higher in the next couple of years. Okay, barring the injuries, Keenan Allen is an A-tier wide receiver. Some people say Keenan Allen's got the best hands in the league. Some people say Keenan Allen's got the best route running in the league. The only thing that sucks about Keenan Allen is he's absolutely injured almost all the time. But he's definitely an A-tier talent. Never was the fastest guy, never the best contested catch guy, but mid-tier, down the field, short yardage, route running, just as crispy as they come. Really good boundary wide receiver. Really good anticipation on how to set people up, going through, getting in and out of his breaks and stuff, and understanding what the defense is trying to do. He's a really, really fucking good player. It's a shame that he's hurt all the time. Stephon Diggs, S-tier wide receiver. Love him or hate him. Love the Bills, hate the Bills. The dude could do absolutely everything you ask of a wide receiver, and he's one of the better red zone threat wide receivers. Absolutely fantastic at all levels. Underrated speed, just a really fucking good player. Don't know who that guy is, so he could kick rocks. Thielen. So, in terms of overall talent, Thielen at his peak was an A-tier wide receiver. He's one of the best red zone and boundary wide receivers in the history of the NFL. At one time, could do absolutely everything. Beat you down the field, boundary, run every single route. Was decent in the open field. But right now, if he's healthy for Carolina, he's probably B-tier wide receiver. Probably a lower-end B-tier wide receiver. He's just getting older. He's had some injuries. I want to say he's like 30, 31 years old. But he's still very talented. So people might disagree with me on this, but Garrett Wilson's an A-tier wide receiver. He had like 4 quarterbacks last year, and he put up 1,100 yards and I think 7 touchdowns or something like that. He's a guy that could do absolutely everything. Crispy route runner, and I think where he really shines is he's fantastic with the ball in his hands. A guy that has really good vision, is a really, like, he's got eyes in the back of his head. He's very aware of what goes around him, and I think people don't understand that. The better you know defenses, the better you know to a degree what position you're going to be upon entering the zone of catching the ball. Really good at immediately getting the hands on the ball and understanding what move he's going to make next on the defender. Knowing what other dudes are around him. His just perception and vision after the catch is just really, really good. He can run routes at all levels. He's good in the red zone. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to take him to the next level next year. It's going to be interesting to see what these Jets do. Tank Dell. I forgot what team Tank Dell went to, but I think Tank Dell is really talented. He's similar to Zay Flowers, undersized guy, good route runner. Tank Dell can actually fly and get down the field, so he's going to be a really good complementary piece to whatever team he plays for. Not a guy who's going to catch a lot of balls, but a guy who could possibly get a lot of explosive plays. At one point, Marvin Jones Jr. would probably have been a B tier, but I'm going to throw him in the C tier because he's getting older now. But oddly enough, he's a dude that really produces as a 2 or a 3 every single year. Marvin Jones, throughout the course of his career, has actually been really underrated. Just a really good, polished wide receiver. Not a really good athlete, but he's a really good route runner. Catches everything. Good boundary guy. Good red zone guy. He's been playing well for Jacksonville, but he doesn't have a lot of the skills that some of these dudes up here have. He's really hindered by the athleticism. So DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to throw DeAndre Hopkins in the S tier because he's played his whole career and produced his whole career like an S tier wide receiver. He's been suspended for the PEDs. Last year he was on pace for 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. Take that with a grain of salt, obviously, because you know how a season can go. But a guy that can do absolutely everything. Doesn't have the athleticism that the other gentlemen in this tier have, but he's as good at all the other things that make a wide receiver as those guys. He's a phenomenal route runner, catches absolutely everything, contested catches a ball, understanding what the defense is going to do, good after the catch. DeAndre Hopkins, even at 31, is a fucking monster. I expect him with Tennessee. They don't have a lot of good wide receivers on the team. They're going to line up and run the football a lot. They won't throw the football a lot. I don't expect him to have a 1,500-yard campaign or nothing like that. But, based off what he has done his whole career, he's an S-tier wide receiver. And until I see him not be an S-tier wide receiver, he's going to be in the S-tier. Michael Gallup, just injured way too much. Michael Gallup, for me, is a low B, high C wide receiver. He had a year or two where he was pretty good, but he keeps getting hurt. I think they made a mistake in paying him because he's hurt all the time. Michael Gallup can do a lot of different things. He's good after the catch. He can stretch the field, but he's solid. So here's one that's going to piss people off. Deebo Samuel has only had 1 year of high-level production. He definitely has all the tools and the athleticism. He's like the personification of a gadget player. You can run him out of the backfield. He's actually underrated at being a wide receiver. Could do a lot of different things. But for me, he's an A-tier guy. He's not as polished of a wide receiver as these guys are. I think he plays in a system where if you get good enough quarterback play in that system, it's designed where everyone eats and benefits. It doesn't matter who gets the fucking ball in their hands in that scheme and that system with that offensive line and coaching. Everyone eats in that offense. I personally think, he's more versatile than Brandon Ayuk, but I think in terms of pure receiving, the gap is not as big as you probably think would be between those two guys. And I don't think Ayuk's a world beater, but he's pretty good. For me, Deebo Samuel, I got to see another year of what he did at his peak year, which was only 1 year, for me to put him into S tier. Jerry Jeudy, this one's a tough one. Jerry Jeudy's going to go in a low B tier because I can make the argument in terms of pure route running, he's one of the best in the league. I think on average he has the highest average degree of separation breaking off routes against wide receivers. He just gets open. His problem is he's played for a team in a system that doesn't spread the ball around enough, and he's been injured. And I also don't think he's that well-rounded of a wide receiver. He's got serious downfield speed, but he's not that great, in my opinion, in most scenarios in contested catch stuff and red zone stuff. He's definitely more of a high-level slot guy with some field stretching upside. But I did love Jerry Jeudy out of college. I think he's kind of between the injuries and stuff. Maybe it's a situation. I think he's underperformed in the league. That's my opinion. T. Higgins, A-tier wide receiver. Absolutely phenomenal. I think he's actually underrated. He has to play across from Jamar Chase, which, you're not going to get the bulk of the shares. Analytically, he's the best. The past 2 years, he's been the best wide receiver at the point of attack in terms of contested catches. He has one of the best wingspans. He has one of the lowest drop rates in the league. Really good at working the middle of the field. Really good at working the boundary. And he has deceptive speed. He can get downfield and beat dudes in the air, going up and getting the ball down the field. And he's really great in the red zone. I would say, if I had to shuffle these up a little bit, I'd probably go like that. And I give Debo the nod over these two because he's definitely more versatile. I don't hate Debo, but I can't have 1 year of really good production in a scheme that promotes everyone being productive for him being an S-tier guy. But I definitely think if you add in how well-rounded a player is he beats these two out. But in terms of pure wide receiver, T. Higgins is absolutely fantastic. He's probably better than DK Metcalf. So it probably goes like that. DJ Moore. This is a tough one, too. I would say DJ Moore is a low-end A receiver because he's had consistent production every single year without having good quarterbacks. He can do a lot. He can get down the field. He's a really good. You can play him in the slot. You can play him on the outside. You can give him the ball underneath. Just a really good route runner, and he's tough. Catches everything. So DJ Moore, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does over in Chicago. I would have liked to see him stay with Bryce Young and shit, so I wonder why they traded him, but this one's going to be an upside pick because the production's been okay. Last year's rookie Drake London played okay last year, but I like Drake London's upside. The PFF guys always have said, could he be the first, projected, big slot? That's what they said, is, someone going to turn him into a big slot player, which is essentially, you can make the argument that's, playing tight end, but he's 6'5", 6'6", 220. Not blazing speed, but he has an insane catch radius, catches everything, great in the red zone, great in the boundary. He's definitely more of going to be a touchdown-dependent guy, but I really think that if they get the right wide receiver in there with him and Kyle Pitts, he could definitely be a red zone terror. He could be a very score a lot of touchdowns. He won't be the guy that gets you a fuck ton of yards, but he's going to get you a lot of catches and a lot of touchdowns. I do like the prospect. Don't know who this dude is. Trash. Cooper Kupp, S tier. Even through all the injuries, some people say Cooper Kupp is the best route runner in the league, has the best hands in the league. But you can't deny the production since he's come in the league. He got in the league a little bit later than a lot of the guys, but he's absolutely fantastic and underrated speed and really one of the best guys after the catch, which I didn't think that was going to be the case when he got to the league. I thought the fact that he's not as athletic as some of these other guys would hinder him, but when he gets the ball after the catch, he makes dudes miss. He runs through dudes. He runs around dudes. Just and highly intelligent. Just knows what's going on in front of him. Knows what type of defense is played, what type of protection. Knows how to beat the zones and the shells. He's just a really smart player. Devontae Smith. So this is a hard one too. Plays on a good team with a really good offensive line. Really effective quarterback, but he plays across from one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's probably going to be my highest B tier guy. I went for 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, I think, last year. I don't know the stats verbatim, but he's a really high end 2 right now on his team. And if you went to a bad team, he'd definitely be their number 1, or a mid tier team, he'd definitely be their number 1. But he really good at stretching the field, really good route runner, better beating press for being 4 pounds. A lot of people didn't realize that in college, and I didn't think he'd have this issue in college. He was the number 1 wide receiver against the press in college, and everyone ignored that and acted like that was going to be an issue. I think what the issue is for him is, can he maintain staying healthy like he has, being so slight, and can he get better after the catch? Not the best at breaking tackles, things of that nature, but he's a really good wide receiver. Has potential to move up to the A tier if he has another good year. Kadarius Toney, Literally one of the most hilarious looks of all time. His photos are always funny. Athleticism wise, I'm going to throw him in B tier because his potential in the athleticism department. This is a guy who can just get the ball in his hands and he can do a lot of shit. Freak athlete, really good after the catch, can get down the field, but I don't think he's that good of a receiver, if that makes sense. But because of what he's shown last year and his ability to get the ball in his hands and make plays, he's a low end B tier guy. I think this is Woods playing for Tennessee. Right now, he's a C tier guy. I mean, I haven't watched much of his play lately. I'd have to go look at his stats from last year, but he still doesn't have the speed and the athleticism that he did when he was younger. So, yeah, I'm just gonna throw him in the C tier. Jalen Waddle to me is an A tier wide receiver. So Jalen Waddle was a guy that I didn't know how he was gonna play in the NFL when he came out. To me, in college, his game said gadget guy, just get the ball in his hands, punt, kick return, things of that nature. He's shown that he's a decently well-rounded wide receiver. Not a really good contested catch guy, but he's gotten better at his route running every single year, and he's so good after the catch, so dynamic getting down the field. He's an A-tier talent, A-tier wide receiver. This dude looks so familiar to me. Who the hell is this? Is that Donovan Peoples-Jones? Who is that motherfucker? He looks so familiar. I'll skip him. I'm gonna figure out who that is. This is Brandon Ayuk. So this one's a tough one for me because I talked about Deebo Samuel and how, in terms of pure wide receivers, I don't think the two of them are that far off in terms of wide receiver skills. Brandon Ayuk is a very skilled and productive player. Last year, he had 78 catches, I think, for over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's tough. So I think Brandon Ayuk is high B. If next year he could be low A, possibly. Or maybe he is an A. I don't know. I'm torn on Brandon Ayuk. The talent's there, but he has to split time with all the other fucking players that are on the San Francisco roster. You got to remember, Christian McCaffrey's catching a bunch of balls out of the backfield on that team. George Kittle. So I'll give the nod. I'm going to give the nod in terms of versatility to Deebo, and I would say Ayuk's a high B with low A upside. Jalen Hyatt, I think he plays for the Giants. I'm going to put him in D. Most of his college game tape was just him getting open down the field at Tennessee. They don't really play anybody, I don't think. At least the game tape I watched, he was burning nobodies. He's just going to be a complimentary piece on a team that needs speed down the field, though. So I think he could be, I think to a degree as a rookie, he can help out, help others be productive, but I don't see him doing enough that it takes to be like a well-rounded wide receiver. That's just not his game. Jackson Smith-Njigba, I'll put him in the C tier. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be good for Seattle, especially with the fact he's got two really good wide receivers on each side of him. I actually think he could possibly catch the most balls as a rookie next year because that's what he is. He's a slot guy, pretty decent after the run, catches everything, get him out in space. I like the pick. They're doubling down on Geno, got themselves their slot guy, 3 weapons. I like it. Oh, this is Calvin Ridley. I knew who the fuck that was. For me, Calvin Ridley's high B with low A wide receiver potential. Remember, he missed a year for sports betting, but before that, he was pretty damn good on a team that wasn't that great. Calvin Ridley, skill-wise, can run the whole route tree, catches absolutely everything, underrated speed. I'm going to put him in B because he's missed some time, but next year he could definitely be in the A tier. It's just crazy how many good wide receivers are in the league. We're at what are we at? Where are we? We're at the 45-minute mark almost, and we still have all these wide receivers left. I think this dude, is that Amon-Ra St. Brown? I think it is. I think it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. So St. Brown, for me, high-tier wide receiver, probably put him right here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, not the best athlete, but really good route runner, catches absolutely everything. Not that great after the catch, but in Detroit's offense, he is their number one, and I think him and Jameson kind of are going to go together over the years like lamb and tuna fish, that sort of thing. Like, they complement each other really well. Jameson Williams take the top off the defenses. Amon-Ra St. Brown work underneath. He's actually kind of underrated. I mean, the past 2 seasons he's gone for 1,000 yards, around 100 catches every year, gets in the end zone. Pretty good player. I don't know who that is. Oh, is that like Marquez Valdez Scantling or something? Let's just say that is C tier. Valdez Scantling just gets down the... Or is that Valdez Scantling? Who is this? Who are these motherfuckers? I don't know who the fuck that is. Marquez Valdez Scantling, C tier guy, gets down the field. He's a role player. Not that fantastic. This is the kid from the Colts there. What the heck is his name? Some of these guys, I see their face, and it just bugs me. I'm like, I can't figure out who the hell they are. We'll just have to go to our lads real quick. Yeah, Alec Pierce. So Alec Pierce showed flashes of being really good last year. A guy that could catch everything, make contested catches, get down the field. I want to see he had like 600 yards and 2 touchdowns on a bad team that couldn't throw the ball. I think Alec Pierce, if the quarterback gets right, could be a guy that can not get you a lot of catches, but get a lot of yards and be touchdown dependent. I'm gonna give Alec Pierce. I'll put him like right here, a high C. He's a guy with high upside, more of a yardage touchdown based guy. Not going to get you a lot of catches, but he's shown flashes of being a good player. Oh God, don't even get me started on fucking Allen Robinson. Like, let's be real here. Alec Robinson at one point was one of the best wide receivers in the league, but he fucking sucks now, and it's a shame. D tier. What the fuck happened to him? Tyler Boyd, arguably the best slot in the league. You probably put Tyler Boyd up. Probably like up around here. Because like he's still effective every single year. He's had multiple 1,000-yard years. He's been an Iron Man. Sadly enough, he's going to have to go to another team to get paid because we're not going to be able to keep him. This is a guy that can run the whole entire route tree. Does not drop the ball. Underrated after the catch. Lacks, overt speed down the field. But besides from that, can do absolutely everything. Leader. Love Tyler Boyd. Hopefully he gets a big contract for like a really good team somewhere else. So Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool's going to go into the C tier. Claypool's a guy that has all the physical tools, but he's not a good route runner. Not the best at going up and getting the ball. Not the best at catching the ball. Cares more about what music they play at practice than actually getting better as a player. He's lucky I don't throw him in the D tier. He can fuck off. This is the kid from the Titans. Played for Arkansas. I always forget his name. Oh, it's going to bother me. 6'3", 220 pounds. He actually ran like could take the top off of defense he's a really big boy. I'm trying to remember his fucking Treylon Burks, I think. Treylon Burks is an interesting player to me because he has all the tools that I love. Like, he's the type of wide receivers that I love. He's got all the tools. The problem is he gonna maximize it? I want to say he had like 30 or 40 catches last year for only like 400 yards. I don't even know if he got in the end zone. But he has all the traits that I love in a wide receiver. He 6'3", 225, 230, can get downfield, really good after the catch, breaks tackles, catches everything. Got to get better at route running. Got to get better understanding what the defenses are doing to him. And then also there's rumors that like he's not conditioned and shit and got chunky. I like the upside of the prospect, and I think bringing DeAndre Hopkins in that wide receiver room could really, really help him. So right now, I'm putting him in C tier in front of Chase Claypool because he's fucking garbage. So here's one of my favorite young prospects in the league, Sky Moore. And right now, I guess I'd have to put Sky Moore in the C tier. Sky Moore is a really fun prospect. He's a slot guy, gadget guy, really crispy route runner, really fast. They don't use him for down the field stuff. They use him for a lot of underneath shit. He has a return ability, which my Bengals found out the hard way. Fucking punting the ball down the middle of the field at crunch time to him, which fucking sealed the deal for us. But I like Sky Moore. I think he has legitimate upside as the chief slot going forward. Really sure hands. Really good vision when he turns upfield after he catches the short pass. I like Sky Moore a lot. C tier. Don't know who the fuck this guy is. The Patriots wide receiver. No one cares. So I am able to change my opinions, unlike a lot of people I know on things, and I'm not as biased as a lot of people I know on things. I do like Gabriel Davis, and I do think Gabriel Davis is talented. He's just not as consistent as we need him to be really a high-level wide receiver. He had a couple flashes last year, and we all thought he was going to be good this year, and he wasn't as good this year. So for me, he's a C-tier guy. Probably put him somewhere in here. He's a guy that's a decent route runner, good at contested catches. He does catch everything. He's solid after the catch, just not the high-end athlete, just not enough juice to be like up here with these guys. Doesn't bring anything like really all that high level to the table right now. Still young, we'll see. So for me, Diontae Johnson's a B-tier wide receiver. And I got to do some shuffling on these, dude. Boop, 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 boop. Diontae Johnson, yeah, he drops a lot of passes, but he also catches a fuck ton of passes. Really good slot receiver, really good underneath balls. He actually can like get into like the deeper mid tiers of the field. And he's been pretty consistent for the Steelers as he's their number one right now in terms of target share, but that's going to change if George Pickens stays healthy. But he's going to be a really good number two for them if Pickens can take it to the next level. He's helped me a lot in my fantasy leagues. He catches a lot of balls. Diontae Johnson, just sure up those drops, young fella. I don't know who the hell that is. Fuck off. This is the kid Johnson from TCU. I actually think he's got a lot of talent. I don't understand the pick because I think he does a lot of similar things that Mike Williams does. He's more of a contested catch guy, run after the catch guy, not a high level speed, okay catching, okay route running. I'll put him in the C tier. So Amari Cooper for me, as much as I talk shit about him because he's soft as fucking bread pudding, he's an A tier wide receiver. He's definitely didn't end up being the receiver everyone thought he was going to be. He consistently will get you like 1,000 yards and around 10 touchdowns every year. But like even with other A-tier guys on this list, like even if we shuffled this out, he'd probably go something like that or like this. With the injuries, he'd probably go at the end. Amari Cooper consistently is like, that number one guy. But I think people thought he was going to be this. And his stats have been consistently high B, low A. Get you 1,000 yards, get you anywhere between 7 to 10 touchdowns every year, catch a lot of balls. But he's not dynamic in my opinion. But really fucking good. Run the whole entire route tree, dangerous in the red zone. Amari Cooper. So Mike Evans is an A-tier wide receiver. When he gets the best quarterback play, plays with the best ability, he's probably like up here somewhere. One of the only wide receivers, it looks like he's going to catch 1,000 balls for like fucking 10 or catch 1,000 yards for like 10 years straight. By the end of his career, if he keeps playing the way he's going to play, he's going to have Hall of Fame numbers. He's got a Super Bowl. Probably going to be in a borderline Hall of Famer wide receiver. His game is mostly being 6'5", 230, catching everything, boxing dudes out, going up and getting the ball, down the field, red zone guy. Solid route runner for what they ask him to do and coupled with what his game is, but not like a high-level route runner. He just wins off sheer fucking physicality, whether he's getting down the field and jumping over dudes to get the ball or he's running. You can dump the ball to him, he'll run through corners because he just can't tackle them. He's his own specific, unique, definitely style of player right now in today's game. There's not too many players that play the way he does, the physicality and the sheer size. Oh, so okay, so here's another A-tier player. And this one's tough as to where I'm going to slot him. There's so many good wide receivers. Antonio Brown, you can make the argument that Antonio Brown's probably the best A-tier wide receiver. Although, the production between him and CeeDee Lamb are pretty similar. I would say Brown's a little bit better down the field than CeeDee Lamb is, and I think it's more because they actually take shots down the field to him as opposed to CeeDee Lamb. So I would definitely say that right now he's the best A-tier wide receiver. I don't consider him an S-tier wide receiver. I don't think his route running is as crispy as these guys is. I think most of his plays based off his physicality. But he's absolutely fantastic. Could you make the argument he's an S tier? I wouldn't argue with you, but he's pretty damn good. He's like on that cusp. Just a monster when he gets the ball in his hands. 6'2", 225 pounds. He's a fucking running back and as a wide receiver. Like, you can dump the ball to him anywhere. He's fucking running through dudes. He's just a beast of a player. So Terry McLaurin, to me, is an A-tier wide receiver. I think that he consistently puts up really good numbers no matter how good the wide receivers are. And I think it's really going to help Sam Howell, the fact that he's got all these wide receivers on this team. I would put Terry McLaurin probably put Terry McLaurin right there. Probably just a really crispy route runner, real good speed down the field, good in the red zone, very just like savvy after he catches the ball. I think he might be the most underrated wide receiver out of all these A-tier guys, honestly. I think this might be the kid for the Carolina, Mingo. I'll throw him in C. Decent, well-rounded wide receiver. I think that's who that is. Mingo, he went to the Panthers. I think he's going to be the number one guy. I think he's underrated. Could do a little bit of everything. Get down the field. Catches everything. Just a really good playmaker. And this last one is DJ Chark. So DJ Chark is weird. He's had years where he's shown he's like a B-tier guy. But with his injuries and consistently, he's a C-tier guy. 6'4", 200 pounds, has long speed, not the best route runner, not the greatest catcher of the ball, in my opinion, but really stretches the field, gets down the field on guys, has good route running in the deep ends of the field, but he's more of a downfield B, maybe low B tier guy, but C tier, he's probably like up here somewhere. Say DJ Chark's like probably like right here. Yeah. So this is probably the best wide receiver list I can come up with or find on here, where just a lot of the ones I seen was like making you do it like top 5, top 10, like all this shit. I'm like, I just want S through D and place these guys. Some of these guys down here, a few of them I couldn't tell who they were, didn't know them, which means if I don't know them, they should probably fucking go in the D tier. Fucking Allen Robinson, trash. Yeah, these are my wide receiver tiers. Look how many S tier guys, A tier guys, B tier guys. And today's league, there's so many good wide receivers. A lot of these athletes are like, why play fucking corner and play running back and all these other positions? Just go fucking play wide receiver, baby, and make money. Fucking chop it up. So yeah, some of the players that I struggle to put into places. I want to put Antonio Brown in S tier. I just don't think he's truly as good as these guys when they play to the best of their ability. Amari Cooper barely makes my A tier. Calvin Ridley will probably play good enough with the quarterback situation that he'll probably be bumped to A tier. You could make the argument these two are A tier. You could make the argument for both these guys having the potential to be A tier. Yeah. So this is my 2023 wide receiver tier list. Like, comment, tell me who you think you would swap around, etc., etc. I'm out. Later.